Hello everybody. We are going our today's webinar. My name is Elena Daguns and I'm happy to see here you. And our today's webinar is devoted to the unique device, to the unique invention created by Russian scientist Grigori Grabovoi. This is the device of concentration development PRK1U. And today we are going to tell you about the device PRK1U in details, and in the second part of our presentation you will hear the testimonies of people who tested this device. They will share with you their impressions. Now let's start. Recently in mass media, there increases the information about new scientific researches that will extend human life. In some articles, there appear specific numbers, up to 120 years, 250 years, for example, of an active and productive life. And in some articles, they even write about the possibility of an infinite extension of human life in the physical body. That is, in the collective consciousness, the idea of immortality begins to take root. The theme of the infinite extension of life, the theme of eternal youth, has been exciting the best minds of mankind for a long time. However, until now it was just in theory. Russian scientist Grigori Grabovoi proved the possibility to live eternal life with his scientific, instrumental, and practical results. Today we are going to talk about his latest product, the device PRK1U. But first of all, let me say a few words about the author. Grabovoi Grigori Petrovich, Doctor of Physical and Mathematical Sciences, academician, author of the discovery of creating field of information, and original works on forecasting of future events, their control and correction. The author of the teachings on salvation and harmonious development. What are these teachings? I would like to show you the quotation from Grigori Grabovoi's webinar of October 13, 2015. In this webinar, he tells precisely about the fact what his teachings on salvation and harmonious development are. It isn't possible to tell better than the author himself. The teachings are built as the scientific theory which possesses a practical result. There is a theoretical part in the teachings. This part scientifically proves the fact of making eternal life possible. There is a practical part based on my results and the results of my disciples. The scientific part is implemented by means of orthodox science. Physical and mathematical tool of this science is impossible to dispose of, as it is proved by the whole previous practice of mankind development and on the basis of certain technologies that work in everyday life in the course of development of knowledge-intensive productions and implementation of such knowledge-intensive productions." Unquote. The fact is, today the cyber systems have been developing very fast in the world. It becomes difficult for people to control them, and there arises the risk that the machines can start to control the human mind. It cannot be allowed. Our task, says the academician Grigori Petrovich Grabovoi, to be able to control the cyber systems with our mind, with our consciousness. Devices of this type solve the problem of the independence of man from cybernetic and other systems in infinite development. And naturally, the task of this device is to create such direction of this class of devices, to create a direction in the instrument engineering when the instrument is not dangerous because it is controlled by consciousness. So, what the device is? First of all, the very name of the device speaks for itself. PRK1U is the device for concentration development, first, universal. That is, the range, the spectrum of application of this device is universal. What is concentration? Because we told that this is the device of development of concentrations. So what is the concentration? Since the device is a device with which man has to work through his consciousness, it's obvious that the word concentration refers to the spiritual actions of man through his consciousness. Concentration means that you hold your attention at this point for some time, and that's all. Some spiritual disciplines explain how by means of concentration of consciousness, for example on a certain organ of the body, the state of this organ can be changed, restored to health. The concentration of consciousness means here in actuality an increase of the information compactness, an increase of the mass data in a volume unit. These were quotations from books of Grigori Grabovoi. That is, the device helps man to increase the concentration of the thought and allows to control the events of his life more stable. Now, a few words about patent protection of the device PRK1U. So the device PRK1U is created on the basis of two current patents for inventions of Grigori Grabovoi. This is the patent disasters prevention method and the device for its implementation, and the patent information transmission system. Right now you see on the screen patent disasters prevention method and the device for its implementation. And this is the slide on which you see the patent information transmission system. The description of the patent disasters prevention method and the device for its implementation includes scientific, instrumental, and practical based on results justifications of the method of normalization of events with the normalizing biosignal. You can receive more detailed information from the work by Grigori Grabovoi, research and analysis of fundamental definitions of optical systems in prevention of catastrophes and forecast-oriented control of microprocesses. We will send you the link in the chat. Виталий, можно послать ссылку в чате на работу исследования и анализ фундаментальных определений оптических систем. And we are continuing. The patent information transmission system states that from the theory of wave synthesis and laws of wave mechanics, it follows that the thought transformed in emission can simultaneously have two quantum states. One of these states is on the sensor of signal transmitter, and the other one is on the signal receiver. It allows designing the devices of eternal life provision that interact with thinking. The patents for Grigori Grabovoi's inventions state that man operator generates information in the form of emission of thought. That is, while doing concentrations or focusing on the creative aims of control, we generate biosignal, that is thought, which contains the aim of our control. What do we know with you about this thought? We know from experience that under certain conditions, our thoughts materialize. Let's remember the famous scientific popular film, The Secret. This film also talks about how to control the events of own life. That is, everything created by man was first formed by him in the form of mental images. For example, how to build a house. At first the architects imagine, then draw the sketches, then the engineers make the necessary calculations and drawings. And with the help of construction technology, the building is being built in the physical reality. It's possible to take photo of a thought. It's a well-known fact. There are different devices using which it's possible to do it. For example, there is a quantum camera. It is the development of the Institute of Radioelectronics of the Russian Academy of Sciences. When pointing the camera at the man's head, the radiation of man's thoughts is visible in real time. What happens when we concentrate using the device PRK-1U? Now, on the slide, we can see an external receiving block of the device with 3 lenses manufactured on the basis of the second patent information transmission system. This external block receives emission of thought of man who works with it, that is, man operator. That is, you think only about control goal for harmonious happening of an event in your life. And at this moment, biosignal generation happens. It turns out that you transfer your thought to external block of the device in the form of 3 lenses. After that, external receiving block transmits biosignal to the internal block, which is manufactured on the basis of the technology of the first patent, disasters prevention method, and a device for its implementation. Internal block intensifies concentration. We know from psychology that the longer the concentration is carried out, the faster the goal is reached. The events are optimized. In the device, by means of overlapping of the fields from generation of man's biosignal, electromagnetic fields to this psychology factor on the basis of the law of general connections, the control by the goal of concentration is added. And harmonization of all connections in the world by the goal of your control takes place. It is known from the book Unified System of Knowledge. The world consists of interconnected structures. A change of one structure leads to a change in all structures of the world. Considering perception and consciousness as one of the structures of the world, we can determine the laws of changes of the world depending on the changes in perception and consciousness. Accepting the known and observable laws of the world as a function of static field of consciousness and perception, you can change the world by changing consciousness and perception. Grigori Petrovich explains why the device is called as the device for concentration development. Because the device separates a range of frequencies which corresponds to vibration characteristics of macromatter, that is, the structure of eternity. That is, the device separates field characteristic of eternity, and at the expense of duality principle, the overlapping of vibration characteristics of matter structure of man takes place. It is overlapped in coherent variant. It is overlapped on this vibration, and we receive the effect which everyone carrying out the tests feels. That is, overlapping of vibrations of eternity matter which are separated by the device and vibration characteristics of man takes place. And as a result of this overlapping, we harmoniously receive necessary result of our control. We would like to remind you what is a coherence. In physics, it is a correlation or coordination of several oscillatory of wave processes in time exhibited in case of their addition. So once again, the device separates the range of frequencies which corresponds to vibration characteristics of eternity structure. During concentration, we produce biosignal which is transmitted to the device. Inside the device, a coherent overlapping of our biosignal and eternity vibrations takes place. A few words about difference of work with the device and without the device. In case of switching on this device, a very powerful increase of intensity of thought emission is obvious. And it is obvious how thought emission gets into a matter structure of the body. The device complies with the high standards and falls into the category of gadgetry responding to individual thoughts emission. As far as the device responds to our thought, it is safe for man because we can control the device by our thoughts. About testing of the device. Only those carry out tests who are planning to purchase the device. There are many people desiring to buy the device, so you should take arrival at a decision seriously. During testing of the device for concentration development PRK1U, it is recommended to concentrate according to the following controls. I will read just the titles of controls. Later, while listening to the recording, you will be able to read all the controls attentively. It's important to be prepared to the testing of the device. So, control number 1, development of concentrations of eternal life for any event. Below you see the recommendations. This is the continuation of control number 1. Control number 2, development of concentrations of eternal life for controlling clairvoyance. And you will read recommendations. Then this is continuation of the control number 2. Here you will read the comparison of concentration before switching on the device and concentration during operation of the device. Then control number 3, development of concentrations of eternal life on controlling forecasting. Continuation of this control number 3 about comparison, once again, of concentration before switching on the device and concentration during operation of the device. Control number 4 is development of concentrations of eternal life on rejuvenation. Continuation of this very control number 4. So there were 4 different controls. Tuning of the device for concentration development PRK1U. It's known that after purchase, the device tunes to man who will work with it. And Grigori Petrovich was asked the following question. Is tuning of the device for concentration development PRK1U carried out individually for one man, or it can be tuned for several men. In his answer, Grigori Petrovich told that there is tuning for one man, but available resource of the device allows tuning up to 8 men. So 8 men can use the device on the basis of individual adjusted characteristics. In his subsequent webinars, Grigori Grabovoi gave 5 methods of work with the device. You can work individually with the device and in the group of people. When you decide to purchase the device, you will always have the possibility to read attentively these methods on the slides of our webinar in its recording. And we are going now to this slide where you see once again the device PRK1U. This device has a function of understanding development via generation and interaction with the matter of eternal life as far as the device produces the matter of eternal life, the field of eternal life. It's necessary to try to solve some own tasks with the help of this field of eternal life in concentrations on controlling clairvoyance and controlling forecasting. It is known that more than 100 men have already tested the device by this moment, and all of them, without exception, from the first time, feel the field which is generated during concentration with the device. Such characteristics are produced which correspond to eternal life, which correspond to longevity, such as feeling of body weight decreasing, or something like levitation, the feeling of levity. Many people having health problems locally feel inflow of warmth to the problem area, and at the level of physical laws, strengthening of substance matter to the eternity takes place at quantum mechanical level. That is, you can develop different abilities in yourself. What is most important is that these abilities to be aimed at provision of eternal life to everyone, it strengthens your control. However, it doesn't mean that the device is a magic wand. We must be able to concentrate, be able to formulate control goals. We must know the methods of control, know ideology of the teachings, based upon the idea of salvation of everyone, upon the idea of creativeness of knowledge, upon the idea of transfer of knowledge of salvation to all people. That's why the device comes with a set of Grigori Grabovoi's works and workshops. Now, I would like to remind you that the teachings of Grigori Grabovoi on salvation and harmonious development is a system of knowledge which allows one, through his thinking, to tune his consciousness and attain spiritual development, thus enabling constructive and harmonious control of events. Recommendations concerning testing of the device for concentration development, PRK1U. We recommend you to formulate beforehand and write control goals before testing of the device. Right now, you will hear the testimonies of people who already tested the device. They wanted to share with you their impressions. Tatiana Ratiner, please.
Здравствуйте.
Так,
Я Татьяна Ратинер. Прошла дистанционное тестирование прибора по скайпу.
Hello to everybody. My name is Tatiana Ratiner. I passed remote testing of the device via Skype.
Было 4 задания, в каждом по 3-4 пункта.
There were 4 tasks, 4 points each.
Я должна была почувствовать разницу физического состояния при концентрации с выключенным прибором и при концентрации с включенным прибором и описать эту разницу.
I was to feel the difference of the physical state during concentration when the device was turned off and during concentration when the device was turned on and describe this difference.
Первое задание на развитие концентрации вечной жизни по омоложению.
The first task for development of concentrations of eternal life for rejuvenation.
Григорий Петрович дал мне задание концентрироваться на левой ноге.
Grigori Petrovich gave me the task to concentrate on the left leg.
Во время концентрации с выключенным прибором по левой ноге пошло тепло наверх.
During concentration with the turned off device, the warmth raised up along my left leg.
При включенном приборе, с включенным прибором мне не удалось сконцентрироваться на левой ноге.
During concentration with turned on device, I didn't manage to concentrate on my left leg.
Волна тепла пошла по телу сверху вниз, и я ощутила сильное тепло в коленях.
The wave of the warmth propagated along the body from top to bottom. I felt strong warmth in my knees.
После тестирования я целую неделю чувствовала тепло в коленях круглосуточно.
After the test, I felt warmth in my knees for the whole week, 24 hours a day.
Периодически чувствую тепло в коленях.
From time to time, I feel warmth in my knees until now.
Когда начинаю представлять себя молодой, также появляется тепло в коленях.
When I start imagining myself young, I also feel warmth in my knees.
Я запустила процесс своего омоложения.
I started the process of my rejuvenation.
Второе задание было на развитие концентрации вечной жизни по управляющему прогнозированию.
The second task was for development of concentrations of eternal life for controlling forecasting.
Нужно было представить себя в будущем.
I was to see myself in the future.
Я представила себя в далеком будущем через 1000 лет.
I imagined myself in the far future in 1000 years' time.
При выключенном приборе я мысленно просто увидела на небе звезды.
When the device was turned off, I saw stars in the sky in my thought.
А при включенном приборе я оказалась рядом с планетой светло-коричневого цвета и видела другие планеты.
When the device was turned on, I appeared near the light brown planet and saw the other planets as well.
Планет было очень много.
There were very many planets.
Я мысленно легко передвигалась среди планет. Мне было комфортно.
I was easily moving among the planets in my thoughts. I felt myself comfortable.
Эта концентрация была недолгой, так как я почувствовала сильную разницу между концентрацией без прибора и с включенным прибором.
This concentration was short, as far as I felt strong difference between concentration without the device and with it.
И этого мне было достаточно.
It was enough for me.
Третье задание – на развитие концентрации вечной жизни по любому событию.
The third task was development of concentrations of eternal life for any event.
Я должна была увидеть, где находится моя мысль, и представить свой образ.
I was to see where my thought was and imagine myself.
Для меня это оказалось сложным заданием. При выключенном приборе я не смогла представить свой образ.
It turned out to be a difficult task for me. When the device was turned off, I couldn't imagine myself.
А при включенном приборе Я почувствовала покалывание на коже головы.
And when the device was turned on, I had pain sensation on the skin of my head.
Здесь главное было, что я почувствовала разницу в ощущениях.
The most important here was the fact that I felt difference in the feelings.
Четвертое задание – на развитие концентрации вечной жизни по управляющему ясновидению.
The fourth task was development of concentrations of eternal life for controlling clairvoyance.
Цель была увидеть несколько комнат.
The task was to see several rooms.
Я была дома и представила свою трехкомнатную квартиру.
I was at home and imagined my 3-room flat.
Когда включили прибор, я увидела свою квартиру, и мой взгляд пошел через стену к соседям.
When the device was turned on, I saw my flat and I looked through the wall to the neighbors.
Я увидела их квартиру, легко перемещала взглядом по комнатам соседей.
I saw their flat. I easily moved along the rooms of the neighbors.
Я вышла на их балкон, посмотрела на улицу.
I went to their balcony and looked into the street.
Я не ожидала, что я смогу увидеть через стену.
I didn't expect that I could see through the wall.
Мне понравилось работать с этим прибором.
I liked working with this device.
Я очень жду получения прибора для восстановления себя, развития своих способностей, помощи другим.
I'm looking forward to receive the device, to recover myself, to develop my own abilities and help the other people.
Надеюсь, что с помощью этого прибора люди будут гармонично жить на Земле, без войн, катастроф, терактов.
I hope that with the help of this device, people will harmoniously live on the planet. There will be no wars, no catastrophes, and no acts of terrorism.
Рада была поделиться с вами своими впечатлениями о тестировании прибора. Спасибо за внимание.
I was glad to share my impressions after testing of the device with you. Thank you for your attention. Thank you, Tatiana.
Спасибо.
Now we will listen to Larisa Fomichova. Please switch on your microphone. Включите микрофон и камеру. Just a moment. Одну секундочку, Лариса. Сейчас я найду ваше представление. Начинайте.
Здравствуйте, меня зовут Лариса Фомичева, и я живу в России. Поэтому тестирование прибора PRK-1U я проходила по скайпу.
Hello to everybody. My name is Larisa Fomicheva, and I live in Russia. That's why I tested the device PRK-1U on Skype.
Мне посчастливилось одной из первых пройти эту процедуру под руководством Григория Петровича Грабового.
I was lucky to be one of the first to undergo this procedure under the guidance of Grigori Grabovoi.
И я хочу с вами поделиться своими впечатлениями от прохождения тестирования.
And I want to share with you my impressions from testing.
Когда я прошла тестирование, я почувствовала, что мои возможности управления изменились в лучшую сторону.
When I tested, I felt that my possibilities to control have changed for the better.
Я ощутила прилив сил, который сохраняется до сих пор. И после тестирования я почувствовала себя намного моложе.
I felt a burst of energy that persists until now. After the test, I felt much younger.
Я хочу рассказать вам о трех самых интересных эпизодах моего тестирования.
I want to tell you about the 3 most interesting episodes of my testing.
Первое управление – это концентрация на своем событии или проблеме.
The first control is the concentration on your event or problem.
Я сформулировала цель управления заранее. Это было связано с болью в правом предплечье.
I formulated the aim of control in advance. It was connected with pain in the right forearm.
Сначала я провела концентрацию без прибора, потом с включенным прибором.
First, I implemented the concentration without the device, then with the device on.
Для реализации своей цели я совершала вот круговые движения мыслью от линзы меньшего диаметра против часовой стрелки через линзы большего диаметра.
To implement my aim, I made a circular motion by means of thought from the lens of a smaller diameter counterclockwise through the lenses of larger diameter.
Сначала мне показалось, что никакой реакции прибора нет.
At first, I thought that there was no response of device.
А примерно через минуту я ощутила мощный вертикальный световой поток.
After about a minute, I felt a powerful vertical luminous flux.
Я продолжала концентрироваться и поняла, что поток идет самостоятельно, и мне не нужно больше совершать круговых движений.
I continued to concentrate and realized that the flow comes on its own, and I don't need to perform a circular motion anymore.
Я отметила, что боль-то ушла.
I noted that the pain was gone.
Следующая концентрация была по изменению информации прошлого.
A second concentration was on the change of information of the past.
Для меня было важно попробовать работу с прошлым, так как рекомендуется проводить концентрацию другого типа.
It was important for me to try to work with the past because it is recommended to implement the concentration of the other type.
Для этого нужно просто иметь пространственное представление.
We just need to have a spatial imagination.
В сознании я держала события прошлого, которые я хотела изменить в лучшую сторону.
In the mind, I held the event from the past that I wanted to change for the better.
Я одновременно представляла, как световой поток раскручивается, поднимаясь изнутри прибора вверх.
I imagined the light flux unwinds, lifting from the inside of the device up.
Я продолжала держать мысль о цели концентрации, и настал момент, когда я почувствовала, что мне не нужно прикладывать усилий для концентрации, я просто наблюдала за потоком.
I continued to hold the thought about the aim of the concentration, and the time came when I felt that I don't need to make an effort to concentrate. I just watched the flow.
И четко почувствовала, когда световой поток закончился, хотя прибор был включен.
I clearly felt when the luminous flux ended, although the device was switched on.
Григорий Петрович объяснил мне, что сработала дозировка, чтобы вот не передавить конкретную ситуацию.
Grigori Petrovich explained to me that the dosage not to interfere specific situation had worked.
То есть в функции прибора заложена программа гармонизации управления.
That is, the functions of the device incorporated a program of harmonization of control.
В результате этой концентрации я почувствовала, что информация прошлого поменялась. Хотя до работы с прибором мне не удавалось добиться значительных результатов в нормировании вот этой ситуации прошлого.
As a result of this concentration, I felt that the information of the past changed, though before the work with the device, I hadn't been able to achieve significant results in the normalization of this information of the past.
Я понимала, что для получения результата без прибора мне нужно было бы концентрироваться на эту задачу еще многократно, несколько раз.
I understood that to receive such a result without the device, I should have done concentrations many times.
А концентрация с прибором PRK-1U позволила мне получить результат за один раз.
But the concentration with the device PRK1U allowed me to receive the result at once.
Значит, я сэкономила силы и время для решения других задач.
It means that I saved my energy and time for other tasks.
Третье, о чем я хочу вам рассказать, это концентрация по омоложению, которая мне очень понравилась.
Third thing which I want to share with you is my concentration on rejuvenation, which I liked very much.
Я применяла разные методы по омоложению организма.
I applied different methods to rejuvenate the organism.
Но такой силы светового излучения, которую я ощутила в момент тестирования, ранее не чувствовала.
But I hadn't felt before such a powerful light emission that I felt at the moment of testing the device.
Я ощутила давление на грудную клетку, как будто бы луч входил в нее.
I felt the pressure on my chest, thoracic cage, as if the beam was coming into it.
После концентрации дышалось легко и было ощущение внутренней силы.
After the concentration, it was easy to breathe. There was a feeling of inner strength.
Потом я нашла информацию о том, что в том месте, где я ощутила луч омоложения, находится вилочковая железа, тимус.
Then I found out that in that place where I felt the beam of rejuvenation, there is a thymus gland.
У молодых она очень хорошо работает, а с возрастом рассасывается.
It works very well when man is young, but when we become older, it dissolves.
Я продолжаю работать над своим омоложением.
Now I continue to work on the rejuvenation of my organism.
После проведения тестирования я поняла, что мне действительно необходим этот прибор, тем более, что им смогут воспользоваться и члены моей семьи.
After the test, I realized that I really need this device, and moreover, all the members of my family will be able to use it as well.
Я включила в список еще 7 человек, которые тоже смогут проводить концентрации по своим задачам, вот как отдельно, так и все вместе.
I have included in the list 7 people who will also be able to do concentration on their tasks both separately and all together.
У нас есть одна серьезная задача, которая требует участия всех членов семьи, и мы будем работать вместе.
We have one serious task that requires the participation of all family members, and we will work together.
Я рассказала вам о своих результатах тестирования на приборе PRK-1U. Надеюсь, что мой рассказ помог вам понять, как работает прибор.
I told you about my test results using the device PRK-1U, and I hope that my story will help you to understand how the device works.
Желаю здоровья и хороших событий вам и дорогим вам людям. Спасибо за внимание.
I wish you good health and good events to you and your beloved ones. Thank you for your attention. Thank you very much, Larissa and Tatiana. And our webinar came to the end. I want to add also a few words. We are going to prepare a webinar, next webinar, based on your questions. We want to tell you how to formulate objectives, how to formulate goals for control, how to work on the methods of the concentrations with the device. Please send us your questions and to the address which Vitaly will send you right now. And please follow our information. Thank you very much for your attention, for your participation. Bye bye, see you again.